Three, two, one. Welcome back to another episode of AT Talks. This is a special edition. This is not topic 4 and this is not topic 5. But go ahead and introduce the 6 people who are going to watch this video to what we're going to talk about today.
Okay, well, first off, if those of you who don't know me, I was on an episode of AT Talks about a week and a half ago. My name is Alyssa. I am an athletic trainer in the collegiate and university setting at a D2 university here in Southern California. But today I reached out to Thomas because I wanted to talk about difficulties of being a young professional, specifically in the athletic training field, and also things that newly certified ATs might face that they might find difficult, something that you don't necessarily touch on in your undergraduate or master's program, but you can only really find out through experience. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about.
All right, let's start back in the very beginning when you have your degree, you have your certification, you have your licensure, and you're looking for a job.
Mm-hmm.
Did you struggle getting your first job? Was it hard to find one?
I don't know if hard is the right word. My ideal job of my ideal setting, yeah, that was hard. Obviously there were jobs available, but they weren't necessarily where I saw myself. When I started getting into the athletic training as a certified athletic trainer, I wanted to get to the university and collegiate level, but there wasn't jobs that were the right fit for me at the time. So I did start in the industrial industry just to try it, honestly, and see, maybe would be a good fit. You never know until you try it. But it definitely, there is an increase in ATs and there needs to be an increase in AT jobs available. And especially in California, as we've talked about before, it's hard because you have these ATs who are posing as ATs because there is no regulation on licensure and certification here. That are taking jobs from certified athletic trainers. So that does make it hard in that aspect.
What I noticed when I came out, so I got my bachelor's in 2016 and I went straight into a teaching assistant position for 2 years.
Right.
Master's degree in kinesiology, movement science, emphasis in strength and conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Give me something else to do if I get bored of this or if I want to do something else. But I noticed there was a lot of job postings, but there weren't a lot of jobs interested in me.
I remember you mentioning that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was fine. Like I had a very small network in Illinois,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very small. And I was applying for jobs, California, New York, Virginia, North Carolina, Colorado, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, all over the place. And that was my first initial struggle, was just getting someone to say, hey, you don't have a lot of experience, but we're willing to take a chance on you.
Right.
That was my first struggle.
That is the old adage, you need experience to have a job, but you can't get experience without a job, so it's that one person who is willing to take a chance on you, and it kind of breaks open the door. And I think that's something that young ATs need to know, is that you have to be persistent, and once your foot is in the door, then you create your network, and then sky's the limit. Because I see a lot of young ATs after graduation get really discouraged because they're like, I didn't land my dream job in the first 3 months after graduation. Yeah, it's not always going to be that way. But look at it as an experience, maybe to try something like the industrial industry, maybe in the clinical setting, maybe in a setting that you weren't familiar with, that you can, maybe build your resume and see where that leads you.
So now that you have a job and you're starting to build your network,
right?
What were the other barriers or struggles you started running into when you started working?
Yeah. So kind of takes me to present day right now. So
Okay, all right.
yeah, so I'm about 2 years into my new life as a certified. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it. And I was worried, being here that I'd be like, okay, did I make the right decision? And I 100% did make the right decision pursuing my schooling in this like subject matter. But I think something that's really unique to the setting that I'm in too is getting respect just based on your age. One thing that I notice is because I am in the college and university setting, and I am a master's student at the college and university that I work at, it's very hard for me personally to establish a line of AT and student with my athletes, because I am very close to age in most of them, and some of them are even the same age as me. Um, it makes it a little bit hard of, okay guys, I know you see me on campus, but now we're in AT mode. Okay guys, I'm I'm off campus and I'm going to class, but there still has to be a level of respect. And you I appreciate that you want to open up to me, but there is certain things that we need to keep a line with. So I struggle with that. um Making that line not blurred, and it does get blurred at times, so it's kind of hard, and it really is your age. Yeah.
So I'm at the school and change of periods and stuff, and I have a speaker in my office. Like the office is like 15 feet by 8 feet, and there's a speaker here. So
No worries.
yeah, no, it's a tricky balancing act on that line of professional and friend, and someone they can talk to, and someone they probably shouldn't tell you things about, but they're going to tell you anyway.
Hmm.
And sometimes you're that kid's parent, and sometimes you're that kid to tell them, no, this is right, this is wrong. You can't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. This is what you should be trying to do. So it gets very tricky because I'm at the high school, so I have 14, 15, 16, 17, 8 year olds.
Yeah.
And a lot of our homes are broken and we're below poverty level, and they don't have a lot of good mentors, leaders, or just family in their life. So then they use me because I see them Monday through Saturday
Hmm.
for the entire season. And then if you're a multi-sport athlete, you're going to see me for, instead of 4 months, you'll see me for 8 months.
Right.
So it's like, how do you do that and be professional, but also make an impact on multiple levels?
Yeah. No, definitely. I think that's the thing that I struggle with too is, yeah, you want to make an impact. You want to make these kids feel like you have somebody that cares about them and cares about their needs other than just being an athlete. And you want that to be known, but then you also get told information because there is a trust developed
Mm-hmm.
that maybe I don't need to know that. Maybe I don't need to know what you did on Saturday night, but I care about you and I want you to be safe. So that's always been a struggle in these past 2 years, is finding that respect level more than anything. I understand how you talk to your teammates, and I'm glad you view me in the same light, but you can't talk to me like that. And that's something I really have had to advocate for myself with the help of my other ATs that are more experienced in that field. The fact of being caring and being compassionate, but also, developing the respect level. So I mean, it's a still work in
Mm-hmm.
progress, but it's
Yeah.
um and for the longest time I'm kind of like, am I the only AT that's having that struggle? Is it just me? But then it makes me relieved to hear that you have the same kind of
We all have it.
yeah.
Everyone's having it.
Yeah.
A couple of my kids come in. They go, "Hey, Dad, how you doing?"
Yeah.
Hey, hello. And
Hello.
they're like, "What do you get me for my birthday?" It's like, what do you want?" It's like, "I want a bag of usually candy or chips or something, you know."
Yeah, I love that. I hate that.
But I'm also the unprofessional athletic trainer for, say, if I have a headache, right, and I need some ibuprofen, and I go to Walgreens, which is a mile and a half down the road,
Mhm.
take my kids to Walgreens, I'm gonna embarrass them flat out. I'll be like, "Yo, Clarence," and I'll be like, "Dude, shut up, dude, shut up." Like, "What up, man, your boy?"
Right.
And a lot of people will be like, "What are you doing? That's not professional." But we're having fun, and makes me happy. It makes them happy. We all get a laugh, and we all move forward.
Yeah, and I think there's a difference between being unprofessional and being fun,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, we're in such a unique situation because obviously we don't handle like grades, for the most part. Some people might, with their athletes, but so there's not really discipline that we can take towards them. Obviously, we can alert a coach when things get out of hand and stuff like that, but um and then you also want your AT room to be like a comfortable spot, and it's a sliding scale.
Yeah, and it's different for everybody because everyone has different opinions and everyone has different personalities.
Mhm.
Okay. When school gets out at 2:30, at 2:33, there's going to be three or four kids that walk in here. They put their bag down. They say hello. They say, "What's up? How you doing?" They might stay here for 5 minutes. They might stay here for half an hour. Doesn't bother me. I don't.
Mhm.
Now, if we're busy, I'll come out and do stuff. Most of the time, we're not that busy. Like right now, all I have is men's basketball, and we're transitioning this spring
Mhm.
downtime. But then there's other athletic trainers that say, "Hey, get your crap out of my office.
Yeah.
If you're not hurt or you're not injured, you don't need me.
Yeah.
That's fine too. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm, just whatever."
Yeah.
I noticed that a big struggle I had. So I'm from Illinois, and I never really been to Indiana. And for the most part, they're the exact same state.
Mhm.
To East Chicago, Indiana, the culture was something I've never experienced in my life. I was not up to date with what I was walking into.
Mhm.
I was an outsider, and my skills didn't matter because I was an outsider. It was a very tight, close community.
Mhm.
50% Hispanic, 50% African American.
Mhm.
And here comes this guy that comes in, they don't know, they don't trust, and they're saying, "We're doing this." You're walking into their house and you're saying, "We're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this." And they're like, "Whoa, we're not doing any of that." So it took
Right.
a long time to where I felt like I was tolerated because the coaches and the kids and the administration didn't have, like, I was there regardless of what they thought. It took
Right.
a long time for me to feel accepted. And then once I started being accepted, I could push policies, I could push emergency action plans, I could push relationships, and I
Right.
could make impacts on different levels than just medical, rehab, preventative. So that was a major struggle of mine.
Yeah, and I'm glad, and I don't, this might come out wrong, but I'm glad that you acknowledge that
Mhm.
because there is a change in culture from where you go on the map. Obviously, like living in Southern California, I was very exposed to different cultures very early on, but like you
Mhm.
said, that's not the case for everybody. And just the fact that you even acknowledge that and noticed, okay, this might take some time and trust needs to be established as opposed to coming hot right out of the gate and saying
Uh-huh.
A, B, C, and D needs to get done. And if it doesn't get done, we're going to have a problem, because there are some people who would approach it that way as well, too. But I think, establishing trust too, and, everything, a village isn't built in a day, Rome wasn't built in a day. So sometimes it does take time. Yeah.
Yeah, and my advice to anyone who is struggling to connect with the people in their setting is to win the athletes.
Mhm.
Then if you can win the athletes, you typically automatically win the coach because you have all their athletes.
Right.
And then once you have the athletes, you can reach out to the parents, or the parents can reach out for you for the coaches or administration. But I just start with the kids, do your job the best you can, make an impact, and then that knowledge is going to spread, and other people hopefully will welcome you in. And if it's just bad all around, then maybe that's not the place for you.
Right. Yeah,
That's
definitely.
okay.
Yeah, and definitely. And I think you say it too that our job is 80% being people
Yeah.
Pearsons and or people, associating well with people, and 20% is medical. And don't get me wrong, we are medical professionals and we
Mhm.
do know what the body is doing and all that stuff. But and I tell my kids that too, and I say, how many times have you been to a doctor's office and they don't make eye contact? They don't, even touch you and be like, okay, here's a script for whatever you need.
Mhm.
So just making sure that the patient feels heard and listened to and nurtured in some way is half the battle. And another kind of topic I wanted to talk about as a young AT too, like a struggle, is I feel that we are afraid to say no in our new job settings as certified athletic trainers. And there are people that take great advantage of that, and there's definitely people who don't appreciate the work-life balance, and the old adage is, oh, well, you're young, so, kind of pay your dues. And I wanted to touch on that because if there are any athletic trainers that are in that situation, you do need to advocate for yourself, because work-life balance is important if you're 20, if you're 30, if you're 40, if you're 50, if you're 60. um and that's something that I've had to learn and not feel guilty about. When I do need a day off, asking my coworker, hey, can you take this game for me? I'm really loaded with studying. And 9 times out of 10, there is a cooperative work environment or somebody willing to help because they get it. But yeah, if you've struggled with that too, I'd love to hear it.
Well, it's easy to fall into that hole because we're always looking to prove ourselves. Yeah,
Mhm,
I can do that. Don't worry, I can do that. Yeah, I'm the man. I'll do that too. No problem. Yeah, I'll take care of that Saturday. Oh, I can go on that road. And you're always trying to prove yourself because you're new.
mhm.
Show people that hey, athletic trainers have value. I have value. Look at all the cool things I can do. And then next thing you realize, you're saying yes to everything. Your work life balance or work life wave is totally off. You're eating like trash. You're not training. You're not sleeping well. All of a sudden, you're laying in bed thinking, all right, dude, just get in the shower, go to work, make it through today, make it through tomorrow. Such
Right,
5 days, you got this, and then you're miserable.
right.
I'm terrible at saying no. If you text me something, I'll say no. You ask me to my face, I'll be like,
Yeah, yeah,
problem, no issue, you got it.
right.
That's on all levels of things.
Yeah. Oh my god, I'm very that person too.
Mhm. Yeah, I struggle with it now. I've been here for almost 2 years, um, and like there was no such thing as no in grad school. Everything was yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And in undergrad too, is because I feel like in
Mhm.
undergrad you were always in a competition with the other people around you
Mhm.
to be like, no, I am serious about this profession. You need me to work 8 hours unpaid? Yeah, I'll be there.
Mhm.
And it was used as, okay, you're developing your clinical practice, which you were, but then you also have to learn that you're not a student anymore. Like you're not I mean, you're always a student in the sense of you're learning,
Mhm.
but a student in the sense of you're not being graded on how many hours you put in anymore. And it's not a requirement that you work 60 hours every week,
Mhm.
depending on your job setting or contract. But, not being afraid to advocate for yourself. Yeah, you are young, but you're a young person who is fresher into the field, than the people who have been here 30, 40 years. And maybe um, they were never taught to advocate for themselves, which is why they're burning out, so, and you want to prevent that. So definitely.
Yeah, and I feel like it happens very quickly where you're untouchable. You're like, no, can't touch this, and you're crushing it, and then all of a sudden just boom, and you're like, oh my goodness, what did I do to myself?
Right.
Most of the time, it's self-inflicted.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I get it. Another struggle or barrier that I did not realize when I was in school. So when I come out in 2018, in my mind, I know the vision of what a strong sports medicine program is and what is adequate health care and what's the standard of care.
Right.
And then you get somewhere and you try to implement those policies that meet the standard of care, and you're just hit with barrier barrier after roadblock and barrier.
Mhm.
And it's either people or it's funds or it's other resources. And
Mhm.
I never knew how much of a struggle that really was.
Absolutely.
Like, you
Yeah,
hired me, I'm medical. Let's make this place safe.
right.
And then it takes 6 months to get a policy through, or you've been there for 18 months and they won't get like a wet globe bulb temperature device or a wet bulb globe temperature device, and you're doing like heat index, which is 10, 15 years out of date. And it's like,
Right.
we don't have the funds. And then they buy something else. And you're like, oh, well, you did have the funds. You just didn't care about healthcare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a frustrating aspect too, because,
Yeah.
it's hard because obviously we don't make our f- our funds or caps that we're meant to spend in the year. So you say your budget is $10,000. Okay, well, I'm buying tape, I'm buying all this, I'm buying emergency equipment, but you know what, I also need to make this place look professional too. I need to maybe invest in things that are required by law that we have to enforce, like a wet bulb thermit or a wet bulb, and then also I have to buy crutches, I have to buy this and that and stuff. But then when you ask for other or you ask for help in that area, then you get shut down, and you're kind of in a rock and a hard place because you're being told, okay, we want you to put the athletes first, but I'm also being permitted on what I can do to make sure that the athletes are first. So it is a hard thing to balance.
And that can make some of your relationships very, very difficult uh, to grow.
Hmm.
Because if you feel like an individual is preventing you from giving the standard of care, you're going to have a hard time growing that relationship with them.
Yeah.
And I feel like I fall into that all the time. Like, the people at my school, 95% of the time, awesome.
Hmm.
And then the other 5% of the time, it's like, hey, we need some things. And it's like, nope, you can't have it. I'm just like, well, do you guys care? Or do you guys just care a little bit? Because
Yeah.
and every place is different. And, like, we have real struggles. Like, the poverty here is real. It's a declining city. The population's
Hmm.
been going down for 20 years. There's not a lot of jobs. A lot of the people don't have insurance and
Right.
are struggling to pay utilities. So, like, I get it, but we buy a lot of things too. And I would like to be involved in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And involvement is important from an AT too, because I feel like you get input from the students but also see it. um we just have that unique role, where we are very close to the students and we get to hear what they need, and they
Mhm.
feel comfortable disclosing what they need, as opposed to, sometimes they won't be as comfortable with the coach. And, sometimes we can echo what they need and what we see they need, but it's who's willing to listen and be on the same mission sometimes is the struggle. And like you said, do you really care, or do you just care a little bit, or when it's convenient? And I think as ATs, we're conditioned to care all the time, which it makes a good caring person, but not everybody shares that willingness to advance and improve. So that is a struggle. um you know it's a constant struggle, unfortunately.
You have to have a voice at your organization as well, because there's not that many people out there who are going to support you the way you would support you. And if
Hmm.
you have a voice, then you can't reach those individuals. So you have to build every single relationship you can within your organization.
Hmm.
You can be heard.
Yeah.
It's not enough just to say, hey, Mr. Mrs. Athletic Director, I need A, B, C. Okay, well, now you're like, coaches, I would love to do that for you, but I don't have it. It's for people. I would love to offer better care, but I don't have it. Where you can go, hey, parents, I know your kid plays soccer, but when we have a football game and a volleyball game and soccer going on, I'll be at the football game. So if
Right.
something happens, there's a delayed care.
Mhm.
So that's what we have. That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And you know often you get coaches and in your case parents, well, why weren't you there? I can't be three places at once, unfortunately. It's not that I don't want to be there. I'm not in my office, watching Netflix. um but I can't be everywhere at once. And you're right, your son does deserve an athletic trainer who's there, A, B, and C times. But unfortunately we don't have it. If you would like to see that change, I recommend you using your voice as well. And I can definitely echo your concerns as well too, because I do agree with you, but unfortunately we're doing our best with what we're given right now.
And I also believe if you're put into that position where you can do more, if you give more time, I don't believe that's fair to you as the medical provider either. If practices go 8 to 10, 11 to 1, 2 to 5:30, and 6 to 8, well, I don't think you need to be there 12 hours a day. I think that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also a balance of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, you weren't at Saturday basketball practice. And you're like, you're right. But 6 hours after basketball practice, I was at the wrestling, 16 wrestling meet.
Yeah.
It's that work balance, and you can't do everything by yourself.
Yeah. And
Bridge, you need to get another individual.
Yeah. And sometimes it's even just explaining to the other person, what you are dealing with, because, from an outside perspective, they just might see, oh, well, that AT wasn't there at that competition.
Mhm.
Or, she showed up right on time. Why wasn't she early? And you might say, you know what, I'm really sorry that you feel that way, but you have to understand that I'm going to be here, that I have events going on until 7 p.m. at night, which means I'm here till 10 p.m. at night, after cleaning up, documenting. So it was either give myself a 15-hour day or give myself a 10-hour day. So, or something like that. And what I explain to people is, okay, the match may start at 3, but I'm here at 12. We as athletic trainers, we just don't show up when the match starts and leave when it goes home. So there is additional time that we do spend behind the scenes. So you might not see us and you might just think we're in our office watching Netflix, but we're documenting, we're getting things ready for the next day. We're, treating athletes who were hurt at that event. And there might be several events going on at the same time. And it's the same thing for there. So even just kind of explaining that, because I know I tell my students, I've been here since 10, where have you been? Well, the game doesn't start till 3. Yeah, but I'm here, so you can get in here for treatment and rehab too. I just don't show up when I want. And then they're like, oh, I thought you just showed up. No. So even just explaining the circumstances that you're being dealt can honestly kind of open eyes and be like, okay, I'm sorry, you're right, you do have a point there.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we talked on a lot of things.
Yeah, I feel like that was a good 29, 30-minute episode coming up. So
Yeah.
So we're good to end the recording?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks for proposing the topic last night and being available today.
Yeah, thank you for making time to speak to me. And I urge anybody else who has had these same who's had these same struggles, I urge them, to get on here and hopefully talk about, their struggles as well too. Or
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a casual conversation. If you want to come on, come on. Yeah. I didn't have anything scripted written down. I'm not judging, just
Me either.
we're putting it out there. You want to judge, you can judge, but I'm just here to talk. All right.
Yeah.
Well, have a great week, and hopefully the weather's nice out there in Cali.
Yes. Stay warm over there in Indiana.
Yeah, it's like 40 degrees today, so it's warm for us. So.
Oh, you can break out the shorts.
I didn't even wear a zip up or a quarter zip. I just wear a t-shirt.
Spring is on the way.
Yeah, it's coming. All right. You have a great day.
All right. Thank you.